It's just a tone chaser's dream. Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, I hope you're all well. So in this video we're going to be talking about a couple of pedals that, to be perfectly honest with you, I struggle to work out exactly what they do. I don't have the technical spiel, but I'd be really interested to get stuck in and show you what they're all about. Some of you may know of a company called Believable Audio and therefore know of the brand 29 pedals. Some of you will have heard about these. They've been all over social media recently. Loads of respectable guitar players have picked up a pair of these pedals, including guys like John Mayer. I've seen Tosin's got a pair. My good friend Aaron Marshall, who recommended these to me, has a pair and raves about them all the time. And of course, my very good friend Peter Honore from Anderton's also has a pair, which is where I first tried them. So I got in touch with Believable Audio and now I have a pair of 29 pedals. I have the EUNA and the OAMP. I guess they're to be used as a pair, but you don't necessarily have to have both. You can use one or the other. And this video is all about how I use them within my rig, what they do, as best as I can explain it, and just demonstrate how they work. So, as far as I understand it, the best way for me to describe what these do is an input and output buffer, but they're not necessarily a buffer. They don't work in the same way a buffer does, but they kind of do what a buffer does. It feels like they enhance the tone overall. It feels like they bring something back that you may have lost through using lots of cables and patches and pedals and all the rest of it. So if you've got a pedal board, the idea being that you put EUNA first, so your guitar goes into that and then out from that into all your pedals, and then you put OAMP at the end. And it's a way of treating the input and the output and sort of rebalancing the things that you may have lost within the tone. They don't just do that, there's plenty more that they do. The design is simple yet effective. I think it looks really cool. These are meant to be built like absolute tanks using the best quality components. So everything from the metalwork, the chassis, the way the boards are mounted inside, like the quality of the switches. There's so many things to bear in mind about making these super durable for touring. So the bluey, turquoisey, darky, awesome colored one is the EUNA. Now it's the simpler one of the two in terms of what's on the pedal. So I've got this little info card about EUNA, but essentially what it says is that it's an input driver designed to replace a conventional buffer. We recommend plugging your instrument right into EUNA before anything else. EUNA features an audiophile grade signal path with no electrolytic or ceramic capacitors. The dual-stage unity amplifier circuit will restore sparkle and feel to your tone, and it's capable of driving down to 600 ohms. There are 3 filter circuits to help tailor your tone. Our custom steel chassis provides great noise rejection, and the back is easily removed for servicing and mods. Something else to point out about the EUNA and the OAMP that I absolutely love is powered by whatever. As you can see on the close-up, on the back of the pedal, you can plug any power supply into it. Whatever power supply you have, it will power the pedal, which I think is absolutely sick. It means they're just super versatile. That is a great feature. It's really well thought through. Doesn't matter where you go, what power supply you've got hold of, you can power these bad boys. You've got an on and off switch, then you've got that plate in the middle with the EUNA name on, reinforced, and then these 3 little switches that have the letters H, B, and L underneath. So the H switch is the harmonics. It boosts the sort of upper end, like up in the air of the tone, above all the fundamentals, bringing back some of that pristine crispiness. Really good on pushed cleans, really good on clean tones, all the rest of it. So we'll hear that. So low, it's a gentle boost in the low end. It thickens up the clean tone, can even push it, or pushing it into a drive circuit. If you push the low into a drive circuit, it just thickens things up. And then bright is similar, it's a similar shape to a amplifier bright circuit, tailored for driving drives. Works like a bright switch. It gives you back some of that definition in the sort of high mid area. Okay, and now we're looking at the OAMP. This one's a little more interesting in terms of what's going on. Again, you've got your 1 foot switch, turns it on and off, and then along the control plate in the middle, you've got 2 little trim pots, and then you've got some 3-way toggle switches. So the trim pots, essentially, the first one is presence, the second one is level. So the reason that we've got these is because they're on the end of the signal chain before we hit the amp. So presence, at fully clockwise, there is a gentle shape to the tone. Dial it back to add a subtle mid scoop to the sound, similar to the amplifier tone stack. Level is a trim control between the 2 gain stages, with both gain stages at low and presence at full. Gain is about 6 dB, with both gain stages at high. Gain is about 29 dB. Then you can see you've got your I and your O toggle switches. I stands for input gain, So you can set between high, low, and bright. And then O is for output gain stage, settings for low, high, and dark. Dark cuts top end from the high setting. This stage is after the level fader. The last thing to say is that both the EUNA and the OAMP have insert loops. Essentially, the loop is active when EUNA is off. So you can swap to an impedance sensitive fuzz and remove EUNA from the signal path entirely with nothing plugged into the insert EUNA is tube bypass when switched off. So basically, depending on the fuzzes you're using, they can mess with stuff. So having those in the loops of EUNA and OAMP basically combat that. In terms of the rig, I'm using the KHE switcher. We've got the Victory RK50, which is the Richie Kotzen signature. Figured it would be fun to try it out. Got the twin sister, the Soldano SLO, and the M0100 overdrive. So without further ado, let's check out the Believable Audio 29 pedals EUNA and OAMP. Okay, so I've got my guitar. We're using the 61 today, and what we're going to do is we're starting out with the twin sister into the So Reactive IR. Everything's at 12 o'clock on twin sister, nothing's engaged on the pedal board, and I'm just going to dip out these switches so that we're just going to hear EUNA first, and then we'll move on to OAMP. So this is the sound of the twin sister as is. So that's a lovely sound, but where we can really hear the EUNA affect the tone is these pedals are way more obvious what they're doing the cleaner the sound. The more gain you add, the harder it is to notice, but it still works. So we'll start with EUNA. Everything's down. Let's turn it on. So just by turning it on, you may be able to notice the treatment that's happening to the sound there. Ever so slightly, we're getting a little bit more chime. So this is without. So that's very subtle. That's even before we've touched anything. So I'm going to start with the most obvious. We'll go from the harmonics to the bright to the low. So. Definitely bringing out that sort of top end sheen, that top end shine. The first thing I'm going to say to all those that may go, that sounds like it's adding too much or whatever, it's all dependent on the tone. I haven't set this amp up with the expectation of adding this to enhance it yet. I literally just plugged it in at 12 o'clock and I'm turning it on so you can hear what happens. The whole point of these pedals, at least from what I can tell, is where you find a tone that you're not fully happy with, that you can get it all from the amp or something, or you just want to enhance it a little bit, that's where you throw this in. In any case, that's what the harmonic switch does. So let's do bright. So this is without. Does something really nice to the sound of this amp, does that particular setting. If you throw on the bright as the harmonics as well, I mean, that is exceptionally sparkly. Right, now let's listen to the lows. So this is without and with. What's really impressive here is this is all in front of the amp, and normally things like this sort of end up driving the input stage harder, but I don't know how it works, but it's not doing that as such. It's doing it a little bit, but not really. Let's combine the bright with that. hopefully you can tell that this is a super useful tool because it just enhances the sound. And obviously you can make it overkill, and it really depends on everything else that goes into the rig. But the fact that you've got such control over the subtleties of the tone, in my opinion, is very, very useful, especially live. Okay, let's try Oamp. So at the minute, we've got the output set to high and the input set to bright. So let me show you what it sounds like. Both the level and the presence are sort of in the middle, but this is what we've got without and with. Without. And with. So it's doing something similar to EUNA there in that it's sort of enhancing the top end harmonics or frequencies of the tone there. Again, just to quickly show you. It's like opening out the mids as well. Now the thing is, the idea being that, you know, you're supposed to set one on the input and one on the output, with pedals in the middle. You could probably end up making it way too bright if you're not careful. Let's just see what happens here. So let me show you what happens with the tone completely just twin sister. Let's throw on EUNA. And now let's throw on the Oamp. So you can hear quite clearly there's tons of like high-end information being boosted. So something I'm trying real quickly here is the output set to dark, so it's taking things off the high side, and then I've set the input to bright. So what you might notice right now it gets darker. It's to counteract the EUNA. Now it might be too much, so we could also throw on the harmonic switch. Hopefully you're seeing this with the pedal camera, but I'm taking Oamp in and out, and with EUNA giving us so much like top end like that, now we can use the Oamp to bring it back. And if you feel like it's not quite working for you, you can boost the presence. So that's just guitar into amp using, obviously we're going through this stuff, but my point is that we're just using the EUNA and the Oamp to shape the sound of the amplifier. And it's sick. I really, really, really like it. All right, so we switched over to the RK50. I've voiced it quite dark just to see how much we can affect it with these pedals. So this is how it sounds. So, not the most inspiring sound. Let's see what happens with the EUNA. First things first, let's try the harmonics. You'll notice it more on the neck pickup. So this is without. With, just on the harmonics. Wow. Right, now the bright switch as well. That's great. So that's just EUNA. Now we've also got Oamp to help tidy things up even more, so. So I've just quickly flicked around with Oamp and I've managed to get it from this, which is EUNA, to this. Without them both. Back in. So it's definitely doing what I thought it was. It's enhancing the tone, opening things out. It's great. What I would say is that it's probably some of you commenting that it's, it's starting to drive the amp a bit. So without either of them. The cool thing here is we've got the level trim pot to bring it down so it's driving the same amount as it should. So okay, so after a bit of tweaking, I think I've kind of found where the gain feels right with the amp without either of them on, and now with it on, so. Maybe a tad bit too much. It is worth saying that you don't have to use the trim pot to combat, the changing levels and gain. You could also use the toggle switches, and it'll actually affect the input and output stage. So check this out. I might want to clean that up without touching the level. I've just put it in the low position. So this is without WAMP. And now with it. And if we feel it's lost a little bit of low end, use the low end switch on EUNA. Okay, so the next thing I want to try is I've got my Buffalo Germanium Fuzz in the insert loop of EUNA. Now, when EUNA's off, I can use it, and it, like it said, it handles those weird impedance indifferences and things that happen with using old school fuzzes. But something that's cool about this is that obviously we've got the Buffalo effects in the EUNA and we've got the bender in the WAMP. What a sentence. But the funny thing here is that when you want to use the Germanium Fuzz, for example, I have to turn off EUNA and it gives me like a nice clean version of the Germanium Fuzz, which is what we want. But if we want to affect the tone and we want the benefits of EUNA or WAMP, we can't necessarily do that with the same one, but we can do it with the other. So I can turn on the Germanium Fuzz, not necessarily be able to use EUNA's abilities there, but what I can do is use the WAMP and I can dial in a different tone for the fuzz. So check this out. This is without it. We're still in the RK50. Now this is Germanium Fuzz. So we can all agree that that's a bit of a fuzz tone, but we might want to enhance it. So if you see here on the WAMP, I've got the high switch on the output and I've got the high switch on the input. And basically what we're going to try and do at this point is open it out. So well, I could get lost on that one for a while. That was sick. We could do the same thing the way around. So this is the bender. So that's the sound of the bender. Let's see if we can use the EUNA to enhance it some more. So I haven't turned it on yet, but we've got the harmonic switch in. That was the harmonic. Let's try bright. So let's take it out. That's so cool. Right, let's just quickly try both the bright and the highs. So without. Haha, that's so sick. Okay, so next is going to be a cool test. I'm using my Baritone, it's in drop A. And we're using this Richie Kotzen amp again because it's so dark, but check it out. This is the sound of the guitar. Let's see if we can use EUNA to open it up. So I'm immediately putting in the harmonics and the bright. All right, let's see if we can get the WAMP involved to open this up even more. Don't forget this is a crunch, and this is what we had originally. And then with both pedals. I mean, it's absolutely doing the thing that I want it to do. I mean, the sound of that amp with this humbucker. I mean, it's just no definition. Alright, here's another really quick example. I'm using my Baritone into the M0100 Overdrive from Massaad, and it's on like a cleany, crunchy, well, it's more of a crunch, but it's kind of lifeless the way I've dialed it in. If we throw on the revival drive, you know, it's an overdrive, but it's not heavy, and what I'm trying to get is heavy. So on the WAMP, we're not using the EUNA in this one, but on the WAMP, I've got it set the output at high and the input at bright. Let's check out what happens. Just for the sake of it, we're also going to try it with the SLO. So this is the SLO into the Sur Reactive IR. Again, that's like a crunch. Here comes the WAMP. Revival drive. And let's try the EUNA with the bright switch in to see just how aggressive we can get it. So. So cool. Well, there you go, guys. There is a look at the 29 pedals, EUNA and WAMP. For me personally, I'm just really grateful that I've got these pedals in my rig that I'm going to put on my pedal board, because they're simple and easy to use, and they do something that I haven't really come across on other pedals. I can't really say a bad thing about them. One of my favorite features is the powered by whatever. I can plug any power supply into that and it will work. Aside from that, I just think they sound great. They opened up the RK50 in such a beautiful way. Like, it was so muffled with the humbucker, and then we managed to get definition and clarity such to the point where you can hear the pick attack. That is really incredible to me, really impressive. I can see why all the pros and all the guitar players I look up to have started using them, and I think, to be fair, for what they do, it's around £269. Yeah, it's not the cheapest pedal on the market, but if you are that much of an audiophile and that much of a tone hunter, or you care that much about the way your guitar sounds with the gear that you use, then £269 roughly isn't necessarily that massive an investment for what you get in terms of the quality and sound from the 29 pedals stuff. So there you go. This wasn't a sponsored video. I wasn't paid for this. I wanted these pedals. I want to use them on my rig, and I just thought I'd share with you guys how they work and how they sound. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it wasn't too long. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and share. I've been Rabea, and I will see you all very soon.